Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pedalshift Project. The Pedalshift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments around the bike touring lifestyle, from tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride. Let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/252, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedalshift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 252nd edition of the Pedalshift Project. My name is Tim Mooney. Thank you so much for joining. We are about to embark on a 7-episode odyssey. And what an odyssey it was. This is day one of the Green Goblin retirement tour. As I mentioned, it's going to be 7 episodes long. It will cover every single day of this trip. And I laugh. I am laughing because as you will discover in the course of the next couple of weeks, this trip did not start off according to plan. It didn't start off on day one. It certainly didn't start off according to plan on day 2, and more and more and more. And I think that in some ways there is perhaps more drama in this one, especially early on, than any other trip that I've ever done. It obviously, spoiler alert, turned out fine. I'm back. Everything's cool. But it was challenging for me in the early days of this trip. But I still managed to have a lot of fun. And I hope that even though I think at times I probably was a little off my game, I do think that this trip also tested me to have put on a bright face, put on a good face for even when things didn't go so great for me. And I think I managed to succeed at that. Ask me again after I start editing some of these later episodes. But anyways, is that a good enough of a lead-in for you for this particular series? Well, here we go. So this is going to go all of August and all of September. We're going to take a break in the middle of there. We're going to have a best of inside this series here, but this is going to go for the better part of the next 2 months. So hope you enjoy all of that. Pedalshift Society folks, I did not forget about you, including the new folks that just joined in that we'll be adding at the end of the roll call at the end of this episode. All of you are going to get a bonus episode somewhere in the week 2 or week 3 range. I cannot remember specifically when it fits best within the narrative, but you're going to get a bonus episode that gives you a little bit more of my state of mind throughout all of this. I'm hoping to be able to do more things like that in the future. So if you are interested in supporting the show and you would like to get a bonus episode that extends the narrative of these tour journals as I put them out on the pod, go right ahead and join up at pedalshift.net/society. All right, enough jibber jabber, as someone says, I think, somewhere in the world. Maybe they're like 9,000 years old, like me. But in any event, let's get on with the tour. The Green Goblin Retirement Tour, day 1. Good morning. Still morning. We are kicking off here in Portland, Oregon, and I've got the Goblin completely unloaded after loading it up and riding it 7 miles here to the Union Station, train station, the Amtrak station here in town. And I'm first in line for the bus, which is great. That's always the little bit of a stress. There's 2, I believe, bikes that can go on the front bike rack, and then they can probably fit a few more in the back, but that's when things get a little bit dicey. I just always like to have an assured spot. There is a later bus, but it kind of throws the whole day off if I don't make this one. But yeah, very good. The bike is riding excellent. I mean, I thought it was in worse shape than it was when I left it last, but it is riding smooth like butter. So we're liking that. That's about all I got at this point. Much more when we get to the coast, because I forgot one very important thing, and it's going to be a bit of a bummer. More on that later. I just did run into somebody who is riding many more miles than me. Did the southern tier route effectively, and then is working northbound, so going the wrong way, as he put it, and as common sense puts it. But interesting running into somebody right off the bat after saying it's been a slow go. I'm about to make a right on the Highway 101 for the first time. Forgive the wind, the tailwinds, and it's going to be predominantly tailwinds, are really gusting about 20 miles per hour, so it should be a nice nice ride. But I think it is whipping around a little bit to be a headwind from time to time, but that's all right. Light riding day today. I've done 7 so far. I've got about another 22 to 24. I think it's 24 to go. And I think that's why this is such a nice way to start. I think one of the things that always gets me on tours, or often gets me on tours, is I go out way too hard to start and, drop a 60, 65 mile day on legs that haven't cycled in a while, often in a while, or at least certainly miles like that. So this is much better. Let's see. Let's play a little catch up here as we exit town here, pass by the Tillamook Vision Center, the world-renowned. It's not. It's just where I'm passing right now. Really, Tillamook ends real quick. I'm also getting used to the elements of this bike, which are kind of interesting. The gearing is good. It's robust. But the one interesting thing that I find on this bike compared to others is there is less forgiveness between the upper middle chain gears and the big chain ring. And so what that means is that I'm flipping between my middle and my upper chain ring quite a bit when I am on flats or certainly on downhills. So it means more shifting than I think I'm used to. You start to hear the chain sort of rattle a bit in the upper middle chain gears, which of course goes away when you put it into the big chain ring. So as a result, I'm doing that a lot. Couldn't be a more beautiful day today. Sun is out. It is in the 60 degree-ish range. Really beautiful weather. The fog is rolling in from the coast. Tillamook, if you look at a map, and I encourage you to do so, or anytime I mention a city, especially here on this coastal route, the town is further inland, but on the coastal side of the coastal mountain range, so it certainly gets the coastal influence. It might actually be a little bit warmer here. I think actually the high today here in Tillamook was supposed to be flirting with 70, and it kind of feels like that, just especially in the sun. I am wearing a long sleeve wool layer, and that's soaking up the sun pretty good. One of the things that I picked up here at the Safeway, which was my first stop, was in addition to snacks and coffee and the usual stuff, I got a sunscreen bar to handle the back of my neck. I did not pack a buff or one of those neck gaiters, and I'm already kind of regretting that. But what I'm regretting the most, and I thought about it but didn't put it on my list, so make sure you make your lists because you will forget things, is I did not bring a rear view mirror. And you're hearing weekend traffic here on 101. This is very busy for this stretch. Normally I find myself quite a bit alone on this stretch here as you exit town. The shoulder is nicely sized. I wouldn't say it's the largest you'll have here on the coast, but it's certainly nice here when the cars are zipping by you here. Today went pretty well. I mentioned, I think in the earlier dispatch, that the bike was in really tremendous shape. I misremembered how I left it. I thought I left it in a state where it was going to require a bike shop, and I was really worried about that I was going to have to take a lot of time and work the barrel adjuster and really fiddle with things quite a bit. Well, that's just not the case at all. The only thing that I think that I may have to adjust is I think that my saddle is maybe a touch too high. So I think I am going to deal with that. If memory serves, my that friction mount for which that's not the name for it, but it's what I'll call it. The thing that holds the saddle up. I think that it was starting to strip a little bit. Not strip, but like I'm worried about it. So
If after these 20 some odd miles, it seems like it's going to be okay, I may just leave it as is, because this is a good shakedown. Nice and flat ride here to start, to kind of suss out any mechanicals or things like that. The challenge that I have, should there be any mechanical issues, is I don't have a lot of access to bike shops that are open, just based on the days of the week that I'm riding. Unfortunately, Bike Newport, which is one of the great bike shops, not only in Oregon, but in the country, in my opinion, for bicycle tourists, is always closed. I am always there in Newport on a Sunday or a Monday, and they're just always closed on Sundays and Mondays. So I forever miss out on their stuff. And I think I said I did not bring my mirror with me, and I'm really gonna suffer for that, at least in the early time here. I may see if the Fred Meyer down in Newport has it. Actually, I'm not sure if Fred Meyer's in Newport. There are some options in Newport that if they're open by the time I get there tomorrow, I may be able to get something. I do think that there's a Fred Meyer in Florence, which would be the day after that, and they may have, some kind of awful bike mirror option that I may consider. What I'd really like is essentially the bike mirror that I have back in DC right now. It works quite well with the handlebar, and I don't know if I put any extra thought into it, but I think I had thought that my mirror, I had a mirror out here in my handlebar bag, and now I'm reminded as I'm talking about it that I lost the mirror that I purchased for this bike on my last trip, maybe even the trip before that. It's kind of a bummer. So that's all right, though. I obviously don't need a mirror. It's not like, I don't have air in my tires, which I'll get to in a moment. But I've mentioned many times that it's close to a need for me. I can, turn my head as I just did to look back. The next couple of days are pretty good, easy riding, with some notable exceptions in Lincoln City. So Lincoln City might also be an option for me as well. That would be sometime tomorrow, late morning. So I think I will try to find a mirror for myself. And even if it ends up being, one of those eyeglass mirrors or something like that, I may try to rig something up. I've tried them on my glasses before, and I just can't make it work for me. So I have to have it mounted on my bike somehow. And there you have the magic of duct tape. So if it's a bicycle-specific mirror, fantastic. Maybe we'll do that. But if it's not, so be it. There we go. There we go. Getting used to the gearing situation here. This is a bike that lives in the third chainring, which is really interesting. The middle chainring is great for climbing. And then there's a small chainring, which you would anticipate to be a great climbing one. But that's where this bike tends to find its problems. I will throw the chain a lot in the smallest chainring. So as a result, I go into that only as necessary on some of the bigger hills. So I'm sure I'll have stuff to say about that. So I am good in terms of food. I had an enormous lunch, which consisted of a vegetable pot pie and a pint of ice cream, because I was like, why not? So I'm very powered up right now, shall we say, which is nice. And yeah, as you can hear, the traffic is pretty robust. but it's a weekend on the Oregon coast, and it's, kind of prime time. So I expect I'm going to have this until the next couple of miles, or for the next couple of miles. But then something miraculous happens, and that's just the element of this ride, or of this route, this portion of the route. This is not technically the Pacific Coast route that I'm on right now. It is my version of it. But there's a turnoff up here on Sand Lake Road, which is just a perfect way to avoid all the traffic, and that's going to get me to rejoin the route. The reason why I've taken this way is that it is a more direct way to get to Pacific City. I believe the last time I did this, I finally did the campground that one should normally go at, Cape Lookout, which is one of the great ones on the Oregon coast. That is a different route that you take to get up there. So, but this is very bikeable, very easy, interesting. Some folks lost some stuff out of their vehicle and had to run out in the middle of 101 to grab it. But luckily everything worked. But the nice thing, as I was trying to say, was that this traffic is only for a little bit longer, and then it will be very quiet all the way to Pacific City. It is unclear to me whether or not I should expect to be able to just waltz into the Webb County campground like I normally do. It may be with the COVID restrictions that they may not be accepting hiker-bikers just as walk-ins, but there really wasn't a way to make a reservation that I could really tell. So I'm just going to go there and hope. There are limited camping options around there. I could go back to Cape Lookout, but that would be quite a ride after I make the commitment to go down here. So the other option would be a fast forward to Lincoln City, or ride to Lincoln City, depending on how spry I felt. And there is an Oregon State campground there that, according to the book, has hiker-biker campsites that I could give a shot. So lots of options. I'm hopeful that Pacific City works out for me. It's kind of the way I like to start. It's a nice chill ride out here. And as you can even hear, the traffic has thinned out precipitously the further we're getting out of town. So that's really nice. But looking forward to having some time in my own thoughts for a bit. And then we'll see what happens with the campsite. So, more to come.
All right. End of day one. Ish. This did not end the way that I wanted it to. Number one, the bike is acting up. The thing that I was sort of dancing around talking about was gearing skipping. And it happens at the big chain ring more than anything else, which is unusual in my experience. But I think I noticed where that's happening. It's I think it may be that if I clean the oh man, I just don't even know what some of these parts are. The thing that's on the spring, that kind of the chain tensioner, for lack of a better way of putting it, I think that is being problematic, and I wonder if it's because it's getting a little resistance, because maybe it's a little screwed up. I would do that with a water bottle. However, problem two. I am not at the Webb County campground. I'm at the Woods County campground. Same county, Tillamook County. This is a piece of crap. It is terrible. It is. It's a lovely area. I never knew this part, the town of Woods. It's actually a little more blue collary. It's actually a little bit more my speed. However, this campground doesn't have water at all. It does have flush toilets, which is fine, great, but no shower, no water spigot. There are a couple of RV sites that look like they have
they do have water, but there's no water spigot that I can find. So I'm down to like my last like quarter liter of water. So I may have to ask somebody, or I may have to actually go buy water, which is insane because this campsite cost me $20 US, which is easily the most expensive campsite I'm going to have for this entire trip. It is interesting. Pacific City was just a shit show. It was, I would say it was 3 times as crowded as I've ever seen it. And I've been here on weekends before, but absolutely, really, really much more built up now. I think it used to be just this sleepy little town that had like, I don't know. I thought it had a great rate. I think basically the secret got out about Pacific City, and now there's too many people for what that town can handle, which is really unfortunate. Because it was one of my favorite places. I will have to say. But anyways, I am eating a sandwich, drinking a beer, trying to figure out the rest of things right now. I'm hoping that by doing a little work on the bike, it will not require an additional bike shop, because I don't have that as an option unless I wait until Tuesday in Newport. So I'm hoping that it will behave. If it continues to behave the way it has, I'm gonna basically probably have to put a pause on the trip and wait for a bike shop in Newport, because the next bike shop really isn't until much further down the coast, and the Newport bike shop is really good, so I think that's my best bet. But yeah, not an ideal way to start, but I am hopeful that maybe I can kind of just clean it up, and that the shifting will get better. My sandwich thing just blew away. The wind, by the way, in Pacific City is no joke. I forgot about that, and I'm going to have to be dealing with that with my tent. It is staked down. But this campsite was literally the last campsite. I went to Webb, which is my place of choice with the rabbits and everything. And they said, nope, don't have anything. They're doing COVID protocols, and every other site is taken. But I didn't realize that they didn't do a no turn away thing. They're a county, not a state park, so that it makes sense that they would have different policies potentially. So that's part of it. But now I am at this gloriously overpriced place with like no amenities whatsoever. But there is a grocery store not terribly far away from here. So I may have to go down there and purchase some additional things just to make it all work for me for tonight. I'm actually fed and happy and everything, and the fog is rolling in, so the sun is occluded. It was really sunny today. I caught so much sun. For the rest of the trip, I think it's going to be probably more foggy and cooler than it was today, so that'll be good. But today was kind of tricky in that sense. I feel good. I felt strong. I only biked probably 30 some odd miles today altogether, which is good, because I needed that kind of like ease into all of this. Tomorrow, who knows? I mean, if I go to Newport, I think it's just under 50 or just a touch over 50. So not a really big day, but if the shifting, I was going up hills and the chain got thrown. The chain will get caught from time to time because of the way this thing is working. It's just not tenable. So it's definitely something I'm going to have to either, if it's something that, because it just got gunked up over the period of time riding, because it was fine for literally, if I rode 32 miles, it was good for like 29 of them. So clearly something is gunked up in there is probably the best thing. And if that's the case, then all I need to do is clean it. Then this is no problem. Like I can do that, and hopefully it'll behave. But if it doesn't, I'm going to spend a lot of time in Newport. We'll just put it that way. Because basically what I would do is probably see how far I can ride. If I can ride it all the way there, great, I'll do it. But if not, then there's bus options, which gets me there. And then basically just hanging out at either Beverly Beach or South Beach State Park for a couple of days and making that all work. But yeah, this is the first and last time I will stay at this campsite, because it is not a good value. Great location, but not a good value overall. But Webb County Campground is what you want, not Woods County Campground. But hey, it was a choice of this or getting to Lincoln City with my bike not doing so well, and that would have been quite the ride. And although I suppose I could have done it in a pinch, when you're mentally like sort of done with a day, you're done with a day, and the prospect of adding 30 miles and a pretty reasonable climb in that, not to mention ending on a Saturday evening in Lincoln City, I can't think of a worse scenario for me. So I'm glad this was an option. $20 is cheaper than probably any other lodging or whatever was potentially available. I suppose I could have tried a wild camp someplace, but probably not a lot available. And I think I need to kind of take a break, have a beer like I've been doing, and see if cleaning this up will make a difference. I did find, like I said, I lubed up the chain and it was glorious for a while. So something weird has happened in the interim. So we'll figure that out, or I'll try to at least. So if it is the worst case scenario, I can think of a whole lot worse scenarios for me than camping for a couple of nights in South Beach State Park and just really enjoying maybe the coast and stuff like that. I'll probably have to do a fast forward if that's the case at some point in the trip. I think I'm just going to kind of take it as it comes and figure it out, because that's just basically where we're at. But it is redoubling my opinion on the Green Goblin, that this is the retirement tour for this bike, because I do have to say this is one of those things where it's just sort of like this double sprung or reverse sprung thing is oh man, you just have to laugh. But we'll see what a good cleaning does, and we'll go from there. And a good night's sleep. My head is literally at the corner of an intersection. I'm not kidding. It's pretty funny. But I could be in so many worse places than this. And really, when all is said and done, I'm on the Oregon coast, and I have a whole week of riding ahead of me, and I'm just so grateful for that. So it's hard to see this as anything but a good thing. So, end of day one. Not the end that I expected, but not so bad.
And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedalshift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedalshift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community, expanding into live shows and covering new tours. If you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one-shot and annual options. If you're not into the small monthly thing, check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Didis, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadis, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Byron Patterson, Joachim Robber, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Henkel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Aviles Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Dan Gebhardt, Jody Zeranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Biggle, Greg Middlemas, Connie Moore, William Goffman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latois Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Tom Bilch, Ronald Piroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Grutke, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Letko, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCulloch, John Hickman, Jack Smith, Carl Presso, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Dave Fletcher, James Stratakis, David Neves, Mike Lazuski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Wild, Matthew Sponseller, Chad Reno, Daniel Greger, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, Peggy Littlefield, Lauren Allensmith, Eric Burns, and new to the Society, Thomas Pearl and Darren McKibben. And thanks also to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.